Hello everybody, it's Claire back with another art journal video, and this one is in the small craft journal. And instead of using clear or white gesso on the background, I'm going in with some gold gesso. This one is from the Crafters Workshop and it's gorgeous. Look how it goes on, and it works really nicely on the craft background as well. So you'll notice that in the centre I have actually cut some pages out of this journal, so it's got really beefy. I don't know how to describe. It's a real chunky one, and it was getting to the point where the spine was getting even more sprained. So I decided to cut some pages out. I'm going to use those for tip-ins, and I might make tags out of them. I might even put them in a little book or something like that. So I think I've kind of realised that this is a good idea to cut the pages out if it's getting to the point where it's a little bit of a chunky journal, because they have to sit on a shelf and I don't want them popping open, and I don't want to break the spines either. These journals are records of my art journaling, I suppose, and I want them to stay intact. So I guess what I'm kind of saying is, don't be afraid to take pages out if you find that your journal's getting too chunky. When I first started journaling, the thought of removing pages from my journal or cutting into the pages was like, oh my gosh, I can't do that. Actually, yes, you can, and it's absolutely fine. So on top of the gesso, I have added some pieces of the Grids collage paper, and then I am going in with cheddar. So sometimes I really push myself out of my comfort zone and choose colours that I wouldn't normally use. So here I'm going cheddar, lemon, and then I use Sedona. I reckon if you followed me on my channel for quite a while, you can probably count on one hand the number of times you'll have seen me use red, orange and yellow on a journal page, because I generally just don't do it really. But I ended up loving this. The reason I went for these colours was because of the gesso on the background. It was such a warm background. I wanted to complement it with colours that would work with it, so that was why I went with these colours. So you'll notice that I've left the right hand side of the journal clear, because I'm going to be popping a transparency face on that side. So that's why I didn't want that to be busy behind there. So next I'm going in with one of the Coasters stencils and some of the Stoked neon paint. I'm just adding a bit of that over the top. So because it's quite a warm colour, it works quite well with the colours that are already on there. So I did one layer and dried it, went back in again and did another layer over the top of stenciling with the Stoked. Then I'm going in with the yellow again. So this is the lemon, not the neon, although the neon would have worked. And I'm just doing a bit of stenciling with that as well. And I am actually matching up the stencil and going on top of the colour that I've already added. So next I'm going in with the same stencil and some white. Again, you can see I'm matching it up because I wanted the background to be interesting but not overly busy. So by matching the stencil up, it means I'm just layering those colours over the top of each other. Then I had some white left, so of course you've got to do some splatters, haven't you? It's got to be done. So I'm adding those onto my page too. And then of course a little bit of the Stoked splatter as well. And that is really, I think that's the background nearly done. Then I've just decided I would add a bit of a contrast, so I'm going in with some of the Stoked neon colour. Sorry, my brain completely went empty then. And I'm using a different Coaster stencils. This one is the square, but you can also use it as a diamond shape if you just tilt it round to the side a little bit. Just adding that in, and you can see that kind of brings the page to life really. So now I'm using some of Dina's ultra thick gel medium to just stick that image on the right hand side. You will know it dries clear, so you can't see that once it's dry. So this is a little sponge roller, and it's like a child's art supply. I love creating backgrounds with these. They are fabulous. And I suddenly realised that actually you could cut it down and make a custom size. So you can pop it off the roller handle, and then I just slid the tube out of the sponge and was able to cut the sponge down so it was a little bit smaller. So I'm kind of making a little pathway through the background where I'm going to do my writing. You can see the more you roll her over it, the nicer the application is. And then I'm just quickly rubbing my finger over the edges just to soften it a little bit. Then I'm using my dotty stamp. You'll be used to seeing me using this now. It's much quicker, isn't it, than watching me draw dots? You guys are all like, yay, thank goodness we haven't got to watch Claire do hundreds and thousands of dots anymore. So I'm using that with some white paint. So this has the effect of softening those edges even more. I love that effect, it's so pretty. Then I am using the white gel pen and I'm just adding some highlights onto the face. I've added the white of the eye in as well. Little highlight on the nose, lips and chin. So then I'm just lifting the transparency up so that I can extend some of the lines from the face out onto the page. And doing this helps the image to feel more part of the page rather than it was an afterthought. So you can see I'm just pulling some of those lines out so that I've got somewhere to do my writing. But you see how that kind of joins onto the image as well. This is something that I do quite like to do because I think sometimes it's okay having an image that's separate and different to the rest of your page as a focal point, and sometimes it's nice to kind of just make it all feel like it belongs together. And then I am using a Posca pen and I'm just adding my lettering into those lines. You can see I'm making the letters touch the top and the bottom of the lines, using those as my guide. It creates quite a nice organic look with the letters, really. It's helping you keep them fairly neat and contained, but also you've got the variation in size and height. So then just to finish that bit off, I'm just going in with the same dotty stamp and I'm adding some black dots on there as well. That just helps to bring the black together that was used for the writing and the image, because aside from that there isn't any other black on the page, and it just helps it just to feel all a bit more cohesive. Then I decided that I was going to use some little bits of scrap collage fodder just to cut out some little hearts, to add one on the cheek, and then I'm just adding a couple more onto the page, which are difficult to see at the minute. I'm just going to outline them and then you'll be able to see them a bit easier, just as a little pop of colour as well. And I don't know, it looks quite nice, doesn't it? So I've gone with an odd number in total. So I've got the 1 on the cheek and then the 4 on the page. And there we go. That's this page finished. So another way that you can use those neon paints, just in quite a subtle way, to brighten the page. So thanks for watching. I hope you found some inspiration and I hope to see you again soon.